Okay, let's get back to the study of the delegate Shauwl teaching little hints and symbolisms of why we dwell in the Sukkah, and there's a transformation going on. There is a teaching that just from the word and the way the word is set up in symbolism that we can grasp deeper meanings. He indirectly, Yahuwah through his RuWaCh always indirectly teaches us. It's a hinting process. As I said before, Shaull's letters testify to the RuWaCh. You know, there's a mass amount of people who just reject all of his writings because the Christians use it for their own destruction. But you know how the Father, he says he makes a way out. Shaull's writings he allowed to be misunderstood, so the uncalled won't have too much conviction walking away from him. They don't understand. There's I think it's Psalm 18, to the perverse. Yahuwah shows himself, I can't forget the word, he's not perverse. He shows himself a little bit devious. I can't think of the better word, I forget the word they use. So when they manipulate and try to form him into their image, he just backs up and lets them go to that spirit of derision and delusion. Let's get back. We're focused, since this is the week of the Sukkah, of dwelling in tents and dwelling in these earthen vessels, that the marriage is over, we've been totally atoned for and washed. Now the instruction begins during the days of the tabernacling. There's many meanings. I mean, I love all the different aspects and meanings. Okay, the more likely there's 7, since there's 7 RuWaChs of Yahuwah, there's probably 7 different interpretations of what each one of these feasts means. But this one, like when in our study, we study basically the scriptures that talk about reigning and ruling in the next age. The practice ground of the millennium is just practice. The surviving humans are there. We practice being RuWaCh beings, being able to flesh and bone, talk to a human being like we're talking back and forth right now. It's all of us in the flesh. And then boom, be omniscient, omnipresent, and be everywhere at once, and yet never leave the master's side. Our Malak is our eyes and our ears. We have, like Yahusha sent his Malak to talk to Yahukanan, we will have, I'm sure the one we have now, our Malak, he will be our eyes and ears wherever we go. It's as if where he is, that we will be there in first person. It's as if we are there. He travels for us. Because remember, there's one passage that says, we will never leave his side. I forget where it was now. Like I said, I'm unprepared for that. But so we're being offered a very, very high office. We are joint heirs with Mashiach. Joint heirs with what he receives. So that's what the Sukkah is all about. He is instructing us through a set of days of completion, or a cycle of completion, of how he wants things done. He is the head. We are his body. He rules us. We don't rule him. He's atoned for us at atonement. He is pleased. You know, I'm speaking of the end time right before he comes when we are perfected. We are RuWaCh beings, and yet we are still flesh and bone like he is. We are co-heirs with his essence. He's the RuWaCh of Yahuwah. He is the family of Yahuwah, the son of Yahuwah, and yet he's Miriam, and King David's flesh and bone. Just like two people get married, have a baby, that baby is a combine of both of you. He set marriage as an example of what he's doing with his mankind. Interesting. So, as I said before, 2 Corinthians chapter 3, please. We're going to hint at some of the symbolism of the Sukkah, okay? I'm breaking into the thought, but I'm trying to stay on the focus. 3 verse 5, please. Not that we are competent of ourselves to reckon any manner as of ourselves, but our sufficiency or our competence is from Elohim. Pay attention, this is all Sukkah related. We're indwelling him, he's indwelling us. Who also made us sufficient or competent as servants of the renewed covenant, not of the letter, but the Spirit. For the letter is intentionally supposed to kill, but the Spirit gives life. Now, Shauwl remez on this. Let me explain. Most people take that out. Well, that old covenant law is horrible. It only kills you. It's supposed to. What he means with the letter kills, the Spirit gives life. We're teaching the 4 layers. There's multiple ministries in any word that's breathed of Yahuwah's RuWaCh. There's always going to be at least 4 understandings. Okay? Listen. Okay, he's made us competent servants of this renewed covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. It's dual. Just like in our new covenant dispensation, and I'll use their Christian terminology, we don't stone adulterers. We don't go out and kill people for breaking the Sabbath. That is a letter of the Torah that we don't do. The curses have been suspended. Yahushua bore upon his body all the curses, okay? Because he hung on a tree. That's a given, but it gets even deeper than that. This is almost a soul level mystery here. Okay, read it again. Not of the letter, but of the RuWaCh. The letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. Okay, every time you embrace a passage of Scripture, you embrace a new understanding. I'll give you my example. I keep the clean seating contact laws. Don't go to restaurants if I have to seat publicly. Go home, wash your clothes, bathe in water, be unclean to the even. I keep the Leviticus 11, 12, and 15 laws, basically. Wayikra is 11, 12, and 15. Okay, I've died to it now. I've applied it to my life, and my life's rebellion of resisting it, not wanting to do it, or not being called to do it is over. I have died to the law, to the resistance, the rebellion, the only way you can truly live in Yahushua is to die to self and live through him. So the law killed me, and Yahushua, he rose up from the grave. Or I did when I came out of my water for that passage on the clean laws. I keep them now. Because I have a person in my house, he doesn't always know how to keep clean, so I automatically, he's always in a state of uncleanness. I use barriers when I do his laundry and stuff like that. Plastic, I always put barriers in between them. Heavy gloves, bags, something like that when I do his laundry, unless it's after sunset wash, you see. So I have died to that aspect of the law. Jim, the old self, saying, I'm not going to do that embarrassing thing and have to wash my clothes more than I should and bathe when I don't have to. Oh, that's nasty. Why would I waste my time with that? That man died. So I'll read it again in this context. Here's it. Verse 6. He who made us competent as a servant of this renewed covenant, not of the letter, but of the RuWaCh. For the letter kills, it's supposed to. When you read the literal of the law, the letter is supposed to kill your will to resist it or yourself to oppose it. See, this is almost a sod and drysh here, okay? See, there's 4 levels constantly going on with Shaull's writings. But the RuWaCh gives life. So now that I've laid down my water grave, come back in Yahushua's RuWaCh. He is the RuWaCh of Yahuwah. I've raised up out of the waters of those passages and those truths in Yahushua's RuWaCh. The RuWaCh gave me life. I don't break them anymore. You follow me? That's this passage. It's not doing away with the law. Now this gets better. Now we're going to talk about the beams coming out of our faces during this time of Sukkah. I'm leading up to the Sukkah. Because the Father, through his RuWaCh and his Son, they instruct me in that Sukkah through these days is how to get things done. I've spent many years living in that Sukkah through the feasts. The 3 sojourning feasts. It's absolutely exciting. So see how that passage right there is unlocked? But if you don't have the breadth of the PaRDeS, you'll never understand it. If you read it like a book, 1 plus 1 is 2 is 6 is 5, you won't get it. All you're going to see is license. The law's done away. We've died to it. It's no longer an issue. That is Satan himself. Shaull's word is correct. There's no falsehood in it if you understand the RuWaCh breathed PaRDeS. The Peshat, the Remez, the Drash, and the Sod levels. There's 4 levels percolating all the time in the Word. Okay? Now listen to this. But if the administration of death in letter of the law, letters, engraved on the 10 commandments of the stone, the 10 commandments encapsulate the entire Tanakh. Okay? There's not just, we only keep the 10 commandments crowd. I don't go for that. Every commandment has 120 statutes stacked in behind it that applies to it, you see. I'm just winging it as far as the amount. So listen to me. If the administration of death, of laying the self down in death, of the letter of the law, engraved on the stones pointing to the 10 commandments, was esteemed, so that the children of Israel were unable to steadfastly look at the face of the writer of it, the penner of it, basically, Moshe. Because of the glow of his face, and again, it's all in the focus of the Sukkah time now, bear with me, which is passing away. How much more esteemed shall the administration of the RuWaCh not be? Again, go back to that one verse in same chapter, verse 4. The letter kills, the RuWaCh gives life. The administration of the RuWaCh, PaRDeSing the scriptures, laying out the scriptures in the levels, that brings the life. The Ten Commandments, the world could say, I keep the Ten Commandments, and they don't keep one of them. You kill with your words. You commit adultery with your thoughts. You covet everywhere you go with this corrupted society. All commandments are broken constantly. By being a carnal person, they hate Yahweh with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength, and they are the idol that they serve. They are the graven image that they worship. As we all were. So every commandment's broken constantly. If you don't have the RuWaCh breath through you, you can't mechanically keep them. It does you no good. Listen. Shaull's very deep. It's just by the RuWaCh. He's nothing. He's just penning the breath of Yahuwah. Just like Moshe did. Just like Yirmiyahu did. Much more esteemed shall be the administering of the RuWaCh not be. For if the administration of condemnation, this is not the Torah condemning you, of the fact that the law does have blessings and cursings, okay? If the administration of conviction and condemnation had esteem, the administration of the state of righteousness exceeds much more in esteem. Verse 10, chapter 3:10 of 2 Corinthians. For indeed, what was made esteemed had no esteem in this respect, in view of the esteem that excels. Now listen, we're flowing through the Sukkah thing. Stay on key, okay? For if that which is passing away was esteemed, much more of that which remained is esteemed. See, more of us pass away of the old self every year. And more of that which remained becomes esteemed. Sort of like that parable that no one understands. Two should be in the field, one's taken, the other's left. Two should be in the grinding at the mill, one's taken, the other's left. It's not the rapture. It's the constant state of grinding up the word and turning it into flour and tilling the seed of the word. The two people are you. You'll have one completed time right before he comes that the old man is left behind, the young man goes to the master. One remains, others taken away. It is a rapture as far as just a rapture of ascending on high and waiting for the Mount of Olives to split and descending back down, if you call it that. But it's still a spiritual connotation of the level of the old man dying away. The tilling of the field, all the seeds grown in a field is the seed of the word, and grinding it into flour is the bread of heaven. That we serve food of Yahusha to others because we grind his word into flour. Okay? Everything's symbolism in Scripture. Verse 10. If we indeed are made esteemed that had no esteem in this respect, in the view of the esteem that excels. Pay attention, this is the Sukkah thing. For if that which is passing away, again, everyone spends this thinking the law is being done away. No, it's the ministry of condemnation. When you obey Yahusha, he removes condemnation of the curse from you. Christians are cursed completely. Nothing's been removed from them because they don't obey him. When you begin, you don't have to do it entirely, absolutely at first, but you'll make a commitment to obedience, and then the condemnation lifts. The death sentence of being under Satan's realm. Read Hebrews 2. When Yahusha had his flesh and blood killed, he became like us and had it bled out and killed. He destroyed the power of death and the power of the devil who oversees it. That's this condemnation. Who all our lives were feared and held under the prison sentence of Satan because he could be more harmful to us if we didn't submit to him. He's like a dictator, okay? So it's not doing away with the law, it's the condemnation. Verse 11 again. For that which is passing away was esteemed. how much more, again, the curses being released from the penalty, how much more that which remains is esteemed. He's going to explain it as he goes on. Having such bold having then such expectation, we use much boldness of speech. Not like Moshe, he's getting to a point, who had to put a veil over his face so that the children of Israel could not look steadfastly. I have to go.